Welcome back to the Mail-In Podcast. Happy Thursday to y'all listening out there. I'm your host, Brett Merriman. To my right, the lovely, curled hair, kind of wavy situation. Looks good. Sally deFries. What's going on, Sal?
I've started doing my hair every Wednesday morning now.
For the Mail-In specifically?
Well, I wash it on Tuesday nights.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, my hair is this like, it's like wavy, but it's not like cute wavy. Like I couldn't like wear it to the office like that. Cause
I
like
see. Okay.
the bottom part is really wavy, but the top is just like one disgusting wave with like a lot of frizz. So I
Interesting.
wash it on Tuesdays and I do it on Wednesday morning.
Okay. I
while
like
my
you have
son
you have a system.
is screaming at me to like
Right.
make him eggs.
It was water day today, right?
It's water day at school. Yeah.
And they just play with water balloons. It's
They play, yeah. Well, I think they have like a water table. They told us we have to put him in a swim diaper and bring extra clothes. And the clothes that Fritz picked out to wear during the water day was his entire Manchester United kit. So
Makes sense.
we compromised. He's not wearing the shorts. He's wearing a swimsuit and he's wearing his jersey on top.
Solid.
For real.
Okay. I love that he's
Like
just
a real frat
huge
star. You
right.
know?
He's
Like,
just got to show up in the jersey.
he's just going to go to like UT Roundup after this.
He'll be wearing like a basketball jersey
Yeah.
with no shirt underneath
Right.
soon enough.
Yeah. I mean, that's, his choice.
So you mentioned you wash your hair on Tuesday nights. Where I'm going with this is, are you familiar with an everything shower that's been taking TikTok by storm?
No.
Randy, you're familiar with this trend, right?
That is not on my algorithm, no.
What is
An everything shower, apparently, is when a girl showers for like 2 hours.
Oh, and you like wash
And
your
you do
hair,
the
and
hair,
shave your
and
legs,
you do the shave, and you do
like
the
put a hair
mask.
mask on.
Yes.
And yeah. I kind of did that last night.
I just thought that was like a shower, but apparently it's like a thing that girls save for like once a month or once a quarter. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know that I ever had a term for this. I didn't ever call it the everything shower, but like everyone has this where you're like,
Mhm.
I gotta shave my legs. I gotta like to fully like. Usually it was like before like in college it was like always like my Thursday. That was my Thursday
okay.
shower because I was like getting ready for the weekend.
Got it.
You know, or like you save it for before like a formal or a
Mm,
wedding or whatever
yes,
you're
yeah.
big of it. You're going out of town, so you do all that shit, so you don't have to deal with it.
Why not just do it like every day? Kind of.
Do you know how long it takes to like shave your whole body?
No, I don't.
It's if you're trying to not get razor burn or like cut your leg,
Mm-hmm.
shaving takes a second.
Got it. Okay. I mean,
Because
it makes
when
sense.
I rush, like I come out and I'm just like missing patches of skin
Got it.
from
Or like bleeding all over the place.
yeah, yeah.
Just like,
So,
okay.
but this was like this is the shower I would take usually on like a Wednesday or Thursday night before going out of town. And what I would do is you do this whole shower, you like shave, exfoliate your body, wash your hair, do the hair mask, do everything, and then you go get a spray tan.
Yes, because you have to exfoliate before a spray tan.
Right.
I
So
learned
you're
that
like
the hard way.
fully like buffed out like a baby's skin,
Mhm. Got it.
and then you go get a spray tan. And I would always get a spray tan with my hair wet
Oh, really?
or like dampish,
Okay.
not like sopping wet or anything, but like dampish. And it would never be done is what I'm saying.
Got it.
That was like my Wednesday or Thursday. I'm about to go out of town for a bachelorette party. Right. And then that morning, wake up early, like before the flight and like do my hair.
Okay.
So that it doesn't look like shit on the flight. But I'm not washing my hair again the whole weekend unless I'm like in the ocean or something,
Got
which
it.
I
Okay.
purposely would not do. So I wouldn't have to wash my hair.
No beach waves for you.
And I like shower off my body, but like a quick shower just to get the bronzer from the spray tan off.
Yeah.
But and enough to like stop the development so it doesn't look like I'm like
I
vacationed on the sun.
Yeah.
And then you show up to the airport fresh.
Got it. Okay. It all makes sense. It's just now it has a term attached to it, and like
It's a term,
a
but
TikTok
you're like
whole
you dread
thing.
it because you're like, okay, I gotta like carve out an hour for that.
And that's what not the backlash, but that's sort of the every girl is all of a sudden like, oh my god, yeah, it's awful. I dedicate like hours of my week, and girls are like, I don't have the energy to do it, so I never do it, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, what in the world?
No, it's like
I'm sorry.
it's the worst part of like getting
Yeah.
ready for a vacation.
The everything shower.
The everything shower.
Randy,
It's those 2 hours where you're like, I gotta do all this and go get spray tanned. And then you're spray tanned, but you're packing and you're like touching white stuff or like light things and you're trying not
yeah.
to get the bronzer everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
which is why you should get clear spray tans. Okay.
What is
Discovered
that?
that like 3 years ago. Or they just spray you on clear. Because there's 2 types of spray tans.
Mhm.
When they spray you with bronzer on it, so they can
Okay.
you can immediately see what the color will be like.
Yes.
It's usually a lot darker than what it is. Because
Yeah, I've
so
noticed
the
that.
bronzer, so they can see what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so they're painting and they can see it essentially.
Right.
But and it's supposed to reflect the color that you'll eventually be. But when you get a spray tan, you're not you haven't developed into that. It's not like they're painting your body. You have you get the tan and then it develops over 8 hours or whatever.
Sure.
But the bronzer is what sticks to your bed and clothes and, it comes off in the shower, making it look like a crime scene. Or in some cases, maybe you got a really bad spray tan in Fort Worth one time and it looked like you had blackface on and then you had to go shower anyway because
Oh
you
my
couldn't be
God.
seen in public, is what happened to me.
Oh my God.
I literally walked out and I was like, this is not okay. I look like remember the tan mom?
Yeah.
It looked like that. It
Oh
was
no.
not even a little bit natural. I was like,
Oh,
I have to
boy.
go shower right now.
Yeah.
Because if this
If this
looks
develops
even
in toast.
a degree of what this currently looks like on my skin,
Mhm.
people are gonna
People, you're in trouble.
yeah. So anyway, that's with the bronzer. But then the clear one, just they spray it on clear and it develops over time. So you can put your clothes back on, go about your day.
Interesting. I am no stranger to a spray tan. I've gone probably 4 or 5 in my life. They're great, but I've
But
never
do you
done
have
the
to change
clear.
your sheets the next day and stuff because you get bronzer all over?
Usually I go. I mean, I go as light as you possibly can. As far as the spray tan the levels go, I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to look like Ken doll here.
Yeah.
Just give me a little bit of color, and so they do, and then I wash it off. I don't know, 5 or 6 hours later in the shower, and I to this point, I've never woken up and be like, oh fuck, I have to change all my sheets. So
This is giving me all these flashbacks of all these bachelorette parties I've gone on. But
Mhm.
I always did mine at 8 o'clock at night and then showered in the morning.
oh,
I, didn't
so
have
you sleep in it?
time.
Yeah, I've never slept in it.
I didn't have time to do it earlier in the day. Usually because I was
Got
working
it.
till
Okay.
7.
Yeah,
And then I'd go
then
spray
it's
tan.
tough because you can't, if you did it at 8 and showered at 10, it wouldn't
Right.
take, right?
But I'm having all these I used to sleep on towels on my bed. So
Oh my God.
the real spray tan people know, okay?
They know.
It's
Yeah.
a struggle. And then
Oh,
you just give
jeez.
up on life and you stop getting spray tans. It's great.
And then you're putting on swim diapers
Yeah.
on Wednesday mornings,
Yeah, exactly.
and there you go. We're the mail-in. We talk about spray tans and Randy's everything showers that he takes all the time. Isn't that right, Randy?
That was an 8-minute spray tan diatribe.
Yeah, it was. It was good. I mean,
Should
as
we jump into the actual questions?
we
now?
should. I'm gonna tell them where to call and stuff.
Yeah,
first.
do that.
Okay.
Do that.
888-362-MAIL. That is 888-362-6245. So leave us a voicemail, or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio at Malin Podcast, or in the description of this episode. Hit up the Wash Media store. Pretty fun item coming up if you're a Sunday Scaries fan this week.
Yeah.
Some Slams laptop
I've already
hats.
been rocking the samples.
There's one literally right behind you, too.
Yeah.
And hit up the YouTube to see our faces, youtube.com/mailinpodcast. Sally, you want to dive in
I'm going to
first?
start. Okay. Hey, Brett, Sally, and producer Randy.
Oh, look at that, Randy.
They want your opinion. Do you have any tips for dealing with a partner who is a terrible sleeper? My wife is a very light sleeper who wakes up at even the slightest movements or noises. We sleep with the white noise machine. We keep the bedroom at a crisp 65 degrees. She takes melatonin most nights before bed to help her sleep. I've taken some steps to try to be as quiet as possible at night to avoid disturbing her as well. I've gotten good at walking lightly into the bedroom if I have to come to bed after her. And our dog doesn't sleep in bed with us. I wear nose strips to bed after a day or night of drinking because I snore when I'm drunk. If the snoring is really bad, I'll get banished to the guest room or couch. We even have a rule that if I fall asleep on the couch, which happens fairly often, I wake up past 1 a.m., I have to stay on the couch for the rest of the night. Despite all this, my wife still seems to struggle with sleeping. So any other tips you can share or what I can do to help her sleep better will be greatly appreciated. Thanks and love the pod.
You familiar with John Mayer's seminal classic, Heartbreak Warfare?
Yeah.
Red Wine and Ambien?
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. Just kidding. Don't mix those.
Okay.
Unless you're on a flight. Then really don't mix those.
Okay.
The first time.
My like initial answer when I read this is like Ambien.
Sure. There's the medicinal route. Is it weird that I'm like, is it 2023? Can we lock in a couple separate bedroom nights?
Yeah. So obviously Ambien is like a great tool if you need it.
In the toolbox, but shouldn't be your only.
But
tool.
sleeping pills can be addictive. And if have you ever taken Ambien?
Yeah.
I do weird shit on Ambien.
I dream weird shit on Ambien.
Yeah, no, I not that I like sleepwalker stuff, but if I'm like talking to someone when it's kicking in, like I just am having like lucid dreams where I'm also still awake and like,
oh boy,
it's very.
Yeah, no, I
when
haven't.
Will and I first started dating, I was taking Ambien because I was working night shift, and it was the only way I could sleep during the day because there was like construction right outside of our house, and we would talk on the phone in the morning when I would get off work and he was going to work.
Oh boy, and so you are just.
And I'm just like word vomiting stuff. And we used to call it being in the forest because I would, at one point we were on the phone and I was like, I'm in a forest right now. And he's like, what the hell is going on? Like he was so confused. He didn't realize I had taken an Ambien
Just
at
having
that
this
point.
like complete Ambien.
And then he like, the next day I was like, oh man, I've been taking Ambien. Obviously I'm like saying weird shit. And then he just let me continue that pattern and then would like pepper me with questions about how I felt about him, et cetera. And I wouldn't remember any of that. Which is a real fun relationship tactic.
Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of being at when you're like at a sleepover with your friends and you're trying to stay up talking until you're basically you're dreaming, like half dreaming. And then you
it was that.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Okay. A couple real things. Number one, there is a book called Why We Sleep, which is very good. It's very well written. It's I forgot the guy who writes it. I'm gonna look it up for me.
I got you. Matthew Walker.
Yes,
okay.
A lot of research about sleep research. What affects our sleep. Best times to take melatonin, which I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, says that taking melatonin is like a no-no unless you're trying to avoid jet lag.
Oh, interesting.
Some of the best sleep conditions. Why we do the things we do. It was interesting because I was reading it and then we had Fritz and we were doing all this stuff to like the sound machine and the rocking and things like that to help people sleep. That you do the same thing for babies. You basically mimic the womb, essentially. That's a really interesting book. Maybe there's some things in there that you haven't tried yet. Sound machine is like number one. White noise.
Yeah, they go white noise, and I'm down with that too. I like they're already taking a lot of steps. I think you have to not separate relationship wise, but I think you just
bedrooms. Yeah, that was my next step.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if she's this light of a sleeper, I mean, I'm like a person who sleep is so vital to like my everyday being that when I don't sleep well, I'm really, really grumpy and mean. And like, do you ever like wake up and then you're just like so excited about when you get to go back to sleep?
No, I am the opposite. When I go, like I'm planning on going to bed at night, I'm like, damn, I wish I could still be like awake today.
I'm like,
I never
when
have
I wake up
that.
at 6 a.m., I'm like, God, I cannot wait to get back in bed today at 7.
I never have that.
So my next thing was going to be talk to a professional. Like she might need to get a sleep study. Maybe there is something medically that is going on. I mean, I without like knowing the context, she could have sleep apnea, although it doesn't sound like she's really like the one snoring or anything.
Sounds like he might. No, I'm a drunk snorer.
Doing like a sleep study, things like that, at least could give you some answers as to like why she's so sensitive.
If you're a light sleeper, that basically is it your body's not just never really gets to REM sleep or
to REM sleep, yeah.
So I guess I don't know. My question would be why? I don't know. One thing that has changed my sleep is magnesium at night.
Magnesium, meditation. Unfortunately, a lot of the onus is going to fall on her because she's
Mhm.
the one who's sleeping poorly. Like it sounds like he's controlling all the variables he can,
He's
you know?
trying, yeah.
My next thing was also going to be separate bedrooms.
Yeah, do it for like, if you do it for a week, maybe they don't have a separate bedroom and you don't wanna sleep on the couch for a week, but
I
if
think he
you
said guest room at one point.
yeah,
Um,
if they have a
that
guest room, try it for a week,
that's not
and
something I'm personally interested in.
yeah, I
Even when
get it.
Will is snoring and like
Yeah.
being annoying, I'm just
Mhm.
like, okay, because I want to sleep in the same bed as well.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
But if it's really like affecting your everyday life where you're
Yeah.
like fighting about it or she's really upset or things like that, maybe give it a try.
You know what else? When I'm having, like, a 2-week period of bad sleep, um, the anxiety about having poor sleep before I go to bed, like, "Oh, you can't wait to wake up at 3 in the morning again and not be able to
Yeah.
fall asleep until 5." Going into that night of sleep keeps me up, then it happens, and it's like this weird revolving door of
Right. I
issues that compound.
there Will and I both kind of struggle with this because I have a hard time falling asleep.
Mhm.
Will wake up at like 3 a.m. and then be up for like 3 hours
Yeah. He tells us. He'll be
with
like,
like anxiety. Like
yeah,
he's thinking about work or he's thinking about whatever and he can't shut his brain off.
yeah.
He also, when my alarm goes off at 5:50, has a hard time going back to sleep after that.
Mhm.
And really, like, there's no way around that. That's just like our lifestyle. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
it's life
not
now,
wake up
yeah.
for work or have an alarm.
And you have a child and a dog, and, like,
Right.
that's at some point, there's a reason we get up earlier as we get older.
Right. I'm not trying to be insensitive because I do think, if anything, sleep is like probably the most important thing in my life.
Regenerative.
Uh, Try your best to read the book. See if she can go do a sleep study or like talk to a doctor about it and see if there's any other box that she's not like ticking that maybe she could be. So, I've said this before and people are like, Sally's a medical hardo, but sometimes your hormones are off.
Sure, there always could be something off.
Um, that can affect your ability to sleep if you are struggling from anxiety, if being a light sleeper, like, yes, that's a thing, but we shouldn't just accept that.
Mhm.
Like, there could also be other reasons.
There could also be, when are you eating at night? When are
Right.
you, what's your exercise activity level? Like,
So,
there's a lot of
there
stuff
is a
that goes
lot of
into
research right
it.
now about how glucose affects you,
I know, you guys were
and
telling me, just eat arugula, like, every morning.
no.
Every morning, like, doesn't even
Will
have to
Will
be a
gets annoyed at
full
me because I read
salad.
this book called, The Glucose Revolution by the Glucose Goddess, shouts,
The
and it's a
glucose
lot.
goddess.
The Glucose Goddess on Instagram.
Stop.
A lot of it is about regulating your glucose and, like, basically regulating more so your insulin curve because your
Mm,
insulin curve responds to your glucose curve. And as you're doing like a roller coaster versus like kind of a basal line with like
mm,
a little bit of peak and valley, every time you have a peak or a valley and then your insulin's responding, your body is going into overdrive. So it could be something as simple as that. Like people don't, it's almost the same thing as allergies. It's like almost hard to pinpoint exactly what you're allergic to in all of the myriad of things we do in one day.
mhm.
But maybe you had a really high glucose dinner and now your body is crashing from it. And when you are in a hypoglycemic state, you're on high alert because your body is saying, I need to eat something.
Right.
And so that could make you be a light sleeper. So if you even regulate that, there's just a lot of things, which is why I say read the book, talk to a doctor, mostly to be like, is there something in my lifestyle I can change to help me sleep a little bit better?
Yeah, or A/B test. Because it's like, hey, if I cut one thing, if I add one thing,
Right.
if I do this differently, if I add maybe a prescription sleep aid,
Yeah.
just, there's ways to try things, and if
Right.
it works or if one helps, then keep doing it, right? Like, there's ways to figure stuff out.
It sounds like he's really committed to
Yeah,
helping
he's making the
her.
effort, which I appreciate.
Um, I'm gonna say this too though. Older you get, if you add children, if
Mhm.
you add any sort of like life change, they already have a dog, but like that's only gonna add to the
Yeah.
not sleeping. So like try to
Mhm.
figure it out now.
Totally agree.
And do what you can. Do what works best for you. If that is sleeping in separate bedrooms, that's what it is.
Mhm.
Um but there are a lot of options, you know,
At least a lot of things to try.
to try.
You know what won't spike your glucose, Sally?
I have a feeling.
Our friends over at Athletic Greens.
Yeah.
Because there's less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything. And it still tastes good. Here's what it is. It's a powder that you scoop and put in your water.
Yeah.
Guess what it has? 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. Kidding me? You're a fan.
I am a fan.
I'm a fan. Start my day with it.
Maybe she should try some Athletic Greens.
Maybe she should. I can't guarantee you it helps with your sleep.
But you would think that all of these things, like if you're living
living a healthier lifestyle,
right, if
I
you've
would
got
imagine
your
your sleep helps.
nutrients on lock.
Yeah, I take it in the morning though to help with my day.
No, I know, but I mean that's we've talked about this before.
Mhm.
You start with the healthy step in the morning. It's like making your bed
Oh, hey,
to set yourself up for a good day.
did you make your bed today?
Will made it for us
Nice.
while I was
Aw.
babysitting on Fritz. Yeah, but I did have my Athletic Greens.
There you go. Bang. It does support better sleep quality and recovery. It does support mental clarity and alertness and cost you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit, Sally. Tisk tisk.
I don't have a cold brew habit.
Well, if you did, Athletic Greens would help you with it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, plus 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/mailin. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/mailin to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Here we go, Sal. Hey, Malin. What is the courtesy or etiquette of inviting someone to your wedding solely because they invited you to theirs? Here's some context. I was friends with this person in high school. We basically lost touch for the most part, and they only invited my fiance and I to their wedding as a second stringer, it seems. I get that. Reason knowing is we got there, save the date, and invitation mailed all in one only 40 days before their wedding. Since we were late ads and I didn't plan on inviting them to mine, is it rude to leave them off? They got the pity invite. They got the Oscars filler
We can
invite.
and we can answer this in less than 30 seconds.
Let's do it.
No.
You do not have to invite anybody to your wedding that you do not want to because it is your day and your day alone. It is not for the enjoyment of other people.
The reciprocation thing is stupid.
Mhm.
And is a like myth. I think people think in their early 20s, like, well, I got invited to theirs, or like, oh, I got invited. They invited me to their bachelor party, so I need to invite them. Nope.
Mhm.
No. You don't owe them shit. I've been in weddings and not invited that person to my wedding.
Damn, that's cold. Just kidding. And I get it. It's your thing.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, these were like 5 years apart.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
Time
I'm
plays a
not
role.
friends with that person
Right.
anymore.
Yes, correct.
I'm not gonna like invite them to my wedding when I don't even really like
You don't
have
talk
a
to them.
relationship with them.
Yeah. It's there's like a nostalgic, and maybe when in your early 20s, like, oh, I haven't seen them in a while. I love to see them at my wedding. Like, cool,
Yeah.
fun.
No, you don't.
And then you grow up, and it's like, well, they're friends, and if we cross paths down the line, great. But it's not a necessity to have them at your wedding.
Nope. Don't have to reciprocate. Don't have to. Done. That was easy.
Staples. We need the that was easy button for the mail.
Yeah. Hey Malin. So I teach AP English at a high school in Florida, but this last year has pushed me to the point where I'm ready to transition out of the classroom. Between the system in general, I won't get into the politics of it all. I have 2 kids under 3. By the end of the school day, I'm so burnt out that I have almost nothing left to give them. I have been applying to jobs in several different fields and haven't had many bites. I'm getting discouraged because a recruiter told me most employers don't consider teachers because their skills aren't, quote, in demand. It's doing a number on my self-worth. I'm feeling so stuck. Any words of encouragement or advice? Thanks, guys. Okay. First of all, thank you for being a teacher.
I think teachers are the most underappreciated, underpaid, under utilized, and just in general, just like disregarded profession in the world.
Right.
I am.
And we as a society are going to be really screwed
I
when
totally agree.
all of these teachers are getting burnt out.
Because I've heard, this is not the first story I've heard. This is not the fourth story I heard.
Yeah.
It's probably double digits of teachers being like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And they're right. I mean, they're all right. It's impossible to do what they do now.
Yeah.
And I am so thankful and grateful that people do stick it out.
Yeah. I'm going to slightly compare it to nursing because I think
I think
nursing
that's
has a
similar vibe. Yep.
vibe right now, although it personally feel like teachers have it worse.
Mm-hmm.
There's a mentality when you are a nurse or a teacher of like, we can't burn out. You gotta be a real hardo, and like, we have to do this. The society's counting on us
Yeah.
at the expense of our personal happiness, our personal lives, my health, my, mental health,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, where she's very burnt out and then feels the guilt from wanting to leave because you physically and mentally cannot do it anymore.
Right.
But then you have your colleagues who are like, you're going to leave us in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, yeah. Cause like, I personally need to spend time with my family, need to like be able to spend time alone after work or like my job or be fulfilled or be happy.
And like financially, opportunities end up being better elsewhere.
Right.
However unfortunate that is.
So she didn't say this in any part of the question, but I just want to address it. Like, don't feel guilt for wanting to do something different and for being burnt out. That's burnout in jobs is a huge problem. It's something that we don't really address because I think our society is like, no, you have to work. You need to work 40 hours a week at the very least. You need to like your job. And if you hate your job, you need to keep doing it anyway. Tough titties,
Yeah.
So at least the first step is like recognizing it. I think when I've been unhappy at work in the past, like in the ICU, it was like finally getting to the point where somebody else had to be like, you seem really unhappy.
Yeah.
Are you okay? So that's number one. Number two is I think there are a lot of opportunities for teachers. I know specifically Alyssa left and is now in education sales, loves the job, makes a good living, very happy, very fulfilled, works an easier schedule. It obviously works better with her and Rhodes. Like all of those things have made her life a lot better. And did we like lose a freaking powerhouse teacher? Absolutely.
Right.
But do we have to let her sacrifice every part of herself so that we don't lose the good teachers? No, she deserves to be happy too. What I'm saying is I personally am probably the wrong person to ask about specific opportunities for teachers, but I do know that a lot of our listeners are in the education field, have left the education field. So if any of you have specific opportunities that you come to mind, please send them to me or Brett. We will pass them along to this person. And then here's my words of encouragement. Like, what's really frustrating about what you said about the recruiter teachers not having like marketable skills or skills that are in need. Like, okay, yeah, you don't code, but like you literally raise humans, and that's all the teaching skills you need. Like you deal with like 20 like little high school shitheads like day in and day out, and you essentially are like a CEO of a classroom. So like to me, all of those skills are marketable. It's just about finding something that's right for you. And there are companies out there, there will be a job opportunity that values that. You just have to find that person. And it takes time, obviously, but there are things out there.
Yeah. You're a CEO, you're a CFO, you're HR, you're sales, you're marketing, all in one.
You're healthcare, like you're all of those things.
You have the skills of leadership, you have empathy, you have organization, you have like drive and ambition because you're trying to get these kids, these interns, if you will, into polished whatever you want to call them at the end of their year
Yeah.
to move on to the next thing. Like you're a GM, you're a coach, you have all of these skills that are not encompassed by the word teacher. If you just teacher. I taught kids. It means so much more than that. It has so much more depth than that. I am where I am because of my teachers, and like that's like a marketable thing. Like
Right.
you can I don't know. That like this question makes me so angry because of how undervalued
Right.
teachers
And
are and continue to be, and I don't see any like change in sight,
yeah.
especially since the pandemic has shattered any normalcy in the
Right.
classroom.
So this is going to be my call out to the mail-in listeners. If you work in education or have recently left education and have tips for this person, please get in touch with me so we
Mhm.
can forward some resources along to her. Um, to the person who wrote in, I don't want you to get discouraged. You are everything to a lot of kids and to a lot of society that even though you probably don't get as thanked as much as you should,
Mhm.
we are very grateful for you. Don't give up the good fight. But also, if you need to take time at the end of the school year to like take the time off and spend time with your kids and figure out what's right for you, even while like if you have to like work a job in retail or something like that while you're just like trying to figure
Right,
out
just a bridge.
a bridge to
And not
something
that
else.
retail has to be a bridge. It's
Right.
just
But like work a job that maybe is not a career to you.
yeah.
That's okay too.
Mhm.
Because you're going to find you spent so much time and cultivating this career of teaching, and it's really hard to get out of that if that's the only thing you've ever known. And
Mhm.
you may decide to go back to school, you may decide to enter a different like part of the education world, or you may decide to like completely pivot and be a stay-at-home mom or whatever you
Sure.
want. But like don't be don't be so discouraged by what's going on with the recruiter to like not take the time to spend time with your family this summer.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe this summer's a great opportunity to not only recharge your batteries, but also sort of realign your next steps.
Yeah. And another really good like, I know that when Alyssa left, she had that opportunity from somebody else who like, one of her old colleagues who'd left.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
reach out to some of
Yeah.
your old peers, anybody who's left, or anybody who is maybe has are your teacher friends who have friends in other, cities who are like, "Oh, my friend was a teacher and left." Reach out to all those things and all those people because I know it feels like scary, especially to admit. I think when I
Yeah.
like admitted, and when I was an ICU nurse, a lot of people used the ICU as a stepping stone to go back to school. But even
Mhm.
when you were doing that, you were having to like admit to people, like, I'm done here. I'm burnt out. I'm going to go back to school so that my lifestyle and emotional well being can
Mhm.
be in a better spot. And some people do not take that well.
No.
But at the end of the day, it's your life. You don't owe them anything, and if you're scared to, like, tell your boss or your team or whoever that you're leaving, like, if they can't understand the level of burnout that they might be in denial themselves, you know?
Mhm. I get it. I totally get it. But best of luck and follow up with us because
And we
you
will
are
be sending
yeah.
anything that anybody else sends in.
Amen. Uh, you're on the go a lot, Sal.
I am.
Boy, do I have the fix for you. If you need to eat on the go, I know the OR isn't exactly like a gourmet situation. You get to sit down and hang out for a couple hours. No, no, no.
Well, we're not, like, being ladies who lunch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
You
also, like, sometimes hospital food's pretty gross and, like,
so
not
I
healthy even though you're
solution.
in a hospital.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Heard from our friends at Factor.
Yeah.
On the go gourmet meals. During the prime spring season, you need wholesome, convenient meals to energize you for warmer, more active days and keep you on track reaching your goals. Factor, America's #1 ready to eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with ready to eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and tackle everything on your to do list. Sally, Wednesdays are your to do list days, usually, right?
Uh-huh.
What do you got today?
Well, I need to go grocery shopping.
Oh,
And if I had some Factor meals, which I unfortunately don't, I wouldn't
yeah,
have to worry about this.
exactly. Too busy to cook this May? With Factor, skip the trip to the grocery store, Sally. Skip the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, because their fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy, then get back outside and soak up the warm weather. Calorie conscious options ahead of the summer. Try delicious dietitian approved calorie smart meals with around or less than 550 calories per serving. And maybe you need an extra boost of energy to support your wellness goals this spring. So try their protein plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. 34 chef prepared, dietitian approved weekly options. There's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meal and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 plus add ons, including breakfast items like our delicious apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, and potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillets. Or, for an easy wellness boost, try refreshing beverage options like cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. That's my favorite part about Factor. Their smoothie gear, awesome.
You know who loves the smoothies?
Who?
Fritz.
Whoa.
We like split a little smoothie. He gets
Okay.
he gets like a quarter of one in his little cup, and then I take the other one on the go. It's perfect when we were dropping him off at school.
Bada bang, bada boom. This May, get Factor and enjoy cleaning without the hassle. Clean eating without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door, ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/steam50 and use code STEAM50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code STEAM50 at factormeals.com/steam50 to get 50% off your first box. Ready for the next one, Sally?
Yes.
Hello, Brett and Sally. Wedding planning is tearing my fiance and I apart. For context, we are both in our mid-30s, and this wedding has been the source of all the fights we have had in 3 years of being together. I've never wanted a wedding. I've always been fine with eloping and having a lawn with my future wife, as I don't like being the center of attention and find the stress, cost, and headache of planning something like this as something I've always wanted to avoid. My future wife has wanted a wedding of some sort, and I agreed to throwing a wedding as a way to make her dreams come true. She's done a ton of the work in the planning, and I love her for it, but she keeps getting upset with me for having no opinions and my mood for souring as the cost and questions go on. Colors for the wedding? No opinion. Genuinely don't care. Food for the wedding? No one remembers the food from a wedding, and I genuinely don't care. How are the guests going to get to the hotel wedding blocks we booked after the wedding? Well, they are adults who can figure it out, and I genuinely don't care. How do we seat her divorced parents who hate each other and can't be in the same room without screaming at one another? A nightmare situation that not throwing a wedding would have avoided. She keeps worrying about what other people will think of her decisions, and I feel it's quickly turned into a party for everyone else and trying to cater to the whims and interest of every individual guest, which is the opposite of what we should have. Once again, sorry for the long question, and feel free to condense it down however you see fit. I kind of did, but just want to say thanks for doing the pod and keep up all your great work. Wedding planning Sally. I'll lead off.
Okay.
Because as a 28, soon to be 29-year-old who has really no prospect of getting married in the next however long, I look at wedding planning as something that I'm like, I don't understand how it can be this stressful and hard. I'm like, can we just boom, 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 bada bing, done? And I think that's where my head's at. Now, I can feel the ire of Sally deFries. I can feel the ire of those women and men out there who are like, fuck you, Brett, you naive, young spring fawn who has no fucking idea what they're getting themselves into. So when I hear this, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to have a wedding. It can be small, it can be big. And you know what? I realize there are factors that go into making that easier, perhaps time, money, etc. But I don't understand why it ends up being so stressful.
That's because you haven't planned a wedding yet.
Yep, I knew that was going to happen.
Okay, so we know probably my thoughts on this,
Mhm.
which would be to not have the wedding. Um, Will and I watched Father of the Bride last night.
'Kay.
Okay, it was like done in what, the early '90s, probably.
Who's this?
Steve Martin,
Yes.
uh, Kimberly Williams Paisley,
And,
Brad Paisley's wife, and
Diane
Diane
Keaton,
Keaton,
yeah.
and Kieran Culkin,
Oh, interesting.
Will
Roman.
Roman from
Yeah.
Succession. Okay, that movie was early '90s, and
Yeah.
it's the whole part of the movie is like how absurd this wedding is getting. And really, like, this is an early '90s wedding. Like, for absurd, it's really like if somebody did that now, I'd be like, "Oh my god, what a quaint little wedding." Like they had a
Mm.
wedding, she got ready at her house. They barely show anything with the bridesmaids or anything like that.
Yeah.
They have the reception at their house, and the whole, like, obviously a lot of it is like done by them because like a lot of the wedding, Steve Martin's outside like parking cars because all the cars are in the street and they have to move them, etc.
Mhm.
None of that would happen now. I literally looked at Will when yesterday when we were watching and Steve Martin comes up and sees her like she's ready for the wedding. They're going to go down to get in the car to like go to the church.
Got it.
And it's like the first look. And I
Mhm.
was like, this is hilarious because right now in 2023, there would be like 10 girls out with iPhones and we would be playing, like going to the chapel, and like everyone would be like Instagram living it. And then like, I mean, not really, because you don't do like the first look on Instagram Live, but there would be a photographer like telling her what to do, and everything would be
Every hour of the day, it
is
feels like
planned
now
out.
is planned and not only planned, but, like, exploited
Right.
for there's, like, the first look and the brunch and the mimosas and the getting ready and the
Right.
hair, makeup, like, yeah.
Unfortunately, in the last 30 years since
Mhm.
that movie came out, weddings have become this entire industry that we have made it into, um, and only gotten worse by the fact of social media. So really, I would say my sister got married in 2009, and her
Mhm.
wedding was a big deal, but it really, like, in the grand scheme of things, was like really not that big of
It
a deal.
hadn't hit the jet stream yet of,
What
like.
happened is we got Pinterest,
Yep.
Tumblr, Instagram, and then it got out of control because you could see what other people were doing, and it was like, well, they did the photo booth and they did the donut wall, and now I have to do that, and like if I don't do that, then like my status of my wedding sucks, whatever. And like
Yeah.
weddings have always, in 1993 and in 2009, it was never a party about you. It was always a party that your parents threw for you, that was really, and even your parents, it's like not a party about them. It's like you're throwing people a party, but you're really like
Yeah, yeah,
you're
it's
celebrating the bride and groom, but like everything is kind of just like a theatrical production that people are just a part of.
Mhm.
And then they go home. And if you threw like some insane wedding in 1993, like kudos for you. Maybe people were talking about it because like nothing else was really going on. And a lot of people were having backyard weddings.
Mhm.
If you throw an insane wedding in 2023, it has to be like so insane. You had to have spent at least $5 million on it for people to
Yeah.
still be talking about it in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
But that's what everyone's striving to do. And the biggest issue is you, as a bride, get caught up on these small details because you're trying to make it this experience for the guests,
Yes.
given what you have experienced yourself going to other weddings or seen on social media, or are
You're
now told by society, because we have all these shows like Say Yes to the Dress and Four Weddings or whatever, and like all of these things that are comparing people's weddings, where we think this is what I need.
Mhm.
Great example is my sister got married a couple years ago in Cabo, and the reason people remember it is because a tropical storm hit the wedding while we were outside in a tent. Okay. So,
Yes.
like, that's why we remember it. Okay. Like a literal natural disaster happened. You know what people didn't remember? The tequila shots they served when people took the shot and went to go sit down before the ceremony. No one remembered or cared about that. But you know how much time my sister and my mom spent on that,
Ugh.
planning that, doing the cards, making all of us pack 20 tiny bottles of tequila in our luggage so that we could all meet the fluid requirements, etc., for bringing
Yep.
shit into
Oh my
Mexico.
gosh.
That took a week to plan. for something no one remembered.
Yeah. And happened in like 9 minutes.
Right. And then no one remembered for sure because Tropical Storm Edward or whatever, Ned, whatever it was, hit the tent.
Right.
All that to be said, nothing is wrong with his fiance for wanting a wedding. That is what society has now told us that we want. That's what is expected of us. That is what you watch your friends do. And then you have friends who go through it. By the time that I got married, a lot of my friends were like, hey, like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have done this. But you don't know it until you experience it. Even when you are being told that by your friends, even when you are maybe the maid of honor and like experiencing it from probably as close as you can be without being the bride, you don't know what it's like until you are planning it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you're so far into the planning that like canceling it at this point is a non-option because you've already put down deposits.
Totally. Yeah.
And there's all these people preying on the fact that you are a bride. So you have put down a photography deposit that you probably overpaid by like 500% for. And you are paying for the catering. And when you're putting this much money into it, of course you care what people are doing. Of course you care that what the hors d'oeuvres are going to be or how people are going to get to the hotel. And you want people to be safe and you want people to have a good time. So for me, it's a catch-22. It's like the more we talk about weddings on the mail and the more that I am very glad that Will and I did what we did. And we did something small and I was still out of my mind stressed.
Yeah.
I was still so anxious. I was like worried about all these dumb things. There's no controlling it. The only way that you literally can take out all of that is you go elope. And even when you do that, you're still going to stress about what it looks like on Instagram and did you pick the right dress and all that, because that is what society has turned us into. All of that to say, cut her some slack, give her some grace. If she wants a wedding, even if she turns to you the second it's over and was like, fuck, thank God that's over. I'm sorry. Like, I hated every second of that. Let her do it. Because she's probably grown up for decades wanting a wedding. And now she's been a bridesmaid in all these people's weddings. And especially now that you're 6 months into planning, has poured her heart and soul into this to make people happy. And it doesn't matter if one person doesn't like the freaking hors d'oeuvres table or thinks the band sucks or maybe, got overserved at the bar. Like, let that happen and just support her and be happy.
That would, yeah.
Which is hard to say from someone who's like, weddings are stupid. Don't do it. But it's also important to voice your opinions and know that, like, while you're supporting her, it's okay to sit her down and be like, hey, this is not really my thing. I truly just want to marry you and like have a fun time. And I want you to have fun and be less stressed. So when I'm saying I don't have an opinion, it's because I truly don't have an opinion. I'm not trying to be a dick.
Yeah, exactly. And that I'm afraid he has sort of entrenched himself in a little bit of like I don't care. I think this is dumb.
Right.
And it's one thing to not care. It's another thing to be cold towards this situation. And so I don't want to chastise you for that, but I'm saying maybe just switch it up into like, hey, I'm excited. Like you said, I want to marry you.
Yeah.
The idea of marriage, I'm all on board with. Let's have that be the focus. And then I want to have fun.
Right.
And then you control the colors and the food and this and that. I will be there, guns blazing, like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I'm excited to do it.
But like, take her on a date, have a glass of wine, and explain all this to her.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think just support her. Like, she probably regrets it at this point. She probably is going to regret it the second that y'all walk down the aisle and be like, God, we should have eloped. That's okay. Like, live and learn. You make mistakes. But she's so far in it now that like canceling is probably not an option. So just try to be there for her. And like, so many of the fights that Will and I get in when I'm like asking his opinion on something, like I'm super type A. I do a lot of our planning for travel and things like that. When I say like, hey, what do you want, this or this? And he's like, I don't care. It's such a slap in the face to me because I'm like, fuck you. I have literally spent 20 hours thinking about which flight we should take. And you don't have an opinion either way. And then I'm going to take on all of that if I choose the 7:30 a.m. flight versus the 2 p.m. flight, the whole time we're getting up early and you're complaining about being up early, I'm
It's
going to
right.
internalize that and be like, God, he didn't even have an opinion, but now he cares. That is
Mhm.
why she's frustrated.
Yeah.
So do your best when she's saying roses or lilies or this or that, mashed potato bar or, what, Bloody Mary station,
Quesadilla,
quesadilla
taco
station.
stand.
Give an opinion.
Yeah.
Just give an opinion and then be like, but I'm happy with either. I
Yeah.
literally, you voice it to me what you think.
Mm-hmm.
I love mashed potatoes, also love quesadillas. I think maybe it'll be hard for people to eat the mashed potatoes
Boom. Easy
without sitting
because
somewhere.
it shows her that you're engaged in the process. You're engaged in the day. Like it's gonna be her moment. She's thought of it for decades,
Right.
right? Like even if, like you said, it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. You're about to be her husband,
Yeah.
and through thick and thin,
Just
and yeah,
support her.
right. Just support rather than being cold and thinking this is all dumb.
Even though
And
I
even
wholheartedly agree
right,
with this guy.
sure, exactly. But this is a time to be like, all right, if we're gonna do it, which she wants to do it, I'm on your team.
Yeah. Yeah. And just take a moment to explain all that to her and then check in with her often.
Yeah, because
How's it going?
Mhm.
How's it going with your mom? I know you're really frustrated with her this week.
yeah,
How's it going? Like, I know that wedding planner is annoying the shit out of you.
right,
Like, how can I help? Just listen and like be engaging. That's all she really wants.
exactly.
That's what's making her crazy. Um, and then just get through it. You love her. This is temporary. It's not going to be, you're not going to be planning a wedding for the rest of your life. That's
Mhm.
going to be done in a few months.
Yeah.
And then you'll be done.
Boom. You wanted I just to end this conversation on wedding plan. My whole the reason I'm not stressed about my future of doing it, and I think it's going to be, I don't know. Obviously, it's naive, but I've heard enough of the arguments against and what happens, and I've seen it what happens. Like I feel like I've learned a lot, even though I haven't done it. And then my
You feel
whole
like you'll be prepared and be chill?
yeah, in a way, I do, and I really do, because I want to simplify it. I want to say I want, and this is going to be sort of morbid, but without my parents
Right.
being around anymore, all I want and care about is one, getting married to the person I love, and that being significant, and then two, getting the people that have supported me in my life together in one spot for potentially the last time.
Yeah.
Because there's sort of a nostalgia that exists within me now that I didn't have before my parents passed.
Yeah.
That is like, I want that one more time because I didn't have control over the last couple times where it's
Yeah.
happened. So that is my simplifying that, just a celebration of a a marriage that is like people in one spot after a ceremony with the people I care most about.
Yeah.
And so if I can simplify it down to that, the accoutrement and whatever goes into it, like it can be at a brewery, it can be at a field, it can be whatever.
If you truly don't care,
Yeah.
truly, the best thing you can do is hire a wedding planner and say, make every decision. I don't
There
care.
you go. And like I don't need the drone video. I don't need
Yeah.
I don't need any of that. I need pizza to come out at 11 p.m. I need shout to be played, and I need to go home and go on some cool honeymoon the next
Honestly,
day. Like that is
the only few of my friends that have like been truly happy on their wedding day
Mhm.
were because they had a planner where they just were like handle everything. I don't want to do any
I'll
of it.
see you at the
Don't want a
yeah.
single. I make the decision for me.
Mhm. Yeah. I know the playlist. There are some obviously can't haves on the playlist. We're not doing YMCA, but
You're not doing the Cupid shovel.
no, I can't.
Okay.
But other than that, let's do the next one. So.
Sally and Brett, need your help big time. My husband and I just bought our first house. Yay. However, our next door neighbors have a beagle mix and he is very loud. They will leave him outside to bark at the door for 45 minutes plus straight. And I'm talking nonstop noise. They will do this while they are at home. They just ignore him and don't let him in. I didn't say anything at first because this is normally during daylight hours. However, last night he was at it again at 11 p.m. while we were trying to sleep. I need tips on how to navigate this while maintaining a civil relationship with our new neighbors. For context, we have a good rapport with the dog's owner thus far, and she has gone as far as to offer us a free plant. She's also been in the house for 15 years and doesn't seem like she'll leave anytime soon. If I write an anonymous note, it will be pretty obvious it's the new neighbor on the block. Help. I'm probably the wrong person to ask about neighbor
I was gonna say
interactions.
I feel like you have more experience in this department than.
You know, we've never owned a house. So we've never been anywhere where we've
Mhm.
like had neighbors for more than a few years.
Sure.
I'm currently beefing with one of our neighbors
There's a geese problem. Goose
because
problem?
she doesn't like Rosie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't think she really likes dogs in general.
Got it.
But there's a lot of dogs at our place. And she's also actively feeding
The geese.
the geese around our place, which is leading to a goose poop problem,
Mhm.
which is just annoying. She's just crotchety. I mean, it is what it is. But we don't interact very much, and all of the problems are really benign. So I just like it's kind of more of a funny oh, we hate our neighbor, but
Yeah.
do I let it affect my daily life? Not really.
I told Will to just take like a 12 gauge outside one day. and
No,
just-
no.
Not her, the geese.
Because she's just nosy and really has nothing to do with her life.
Right. She's
like
she's
75.
lonely.
Yeah.
She's lonely. And I think that's a gigantic problem that is completely underlooked at with the senior population in this country.
Right.
Loneliness.
That's a different podcast
Yeah,
for a
we
different
can
day.
hop in that one later.
The neighbor thing though, especially if you own the house, is such a different there's a lot more finesse at it because you don't want to piss somebody off that you're gonna be about to live next to for years.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to kind of up the rapport with her a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Like let's be friends before we be enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't hate that idea.
Put a backstory and a personality to your face
Ooh.
so that when you say something about the dog, she's
Mhm.
not just like, "Oh, my bitch neighbor." She's like, "Oh, like Sarah said this and maybe I should take that into account. She was telling me she was struggling at work the other day."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
When your neighbor hears you or hears her beagle, who they can be loud.
Yeah.
The bloodhounds and hound dog, they
Yeah.
get really loud. When she hears that dog being loud and notices this, she's like, "Oh, I wonder if I hope it's not bothering Sarah." And
Yeah.
she's gonna be more cognizant of it versus if you come at it maybe mad or I don't know, initially militant, she's
Yeah.
gonna leave the dog outside and be like, "Fuck them.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
It's my house, it's your house. We both own our property. We're not doing anything wrong."
The more interpersonal relationships you have with each other, the more understanding you have. So maybe it's like a dog thing where she's like something's going on with the dog and she's really frustrated. It gives you a better understanding of what's going on with her,
Mhm.
and vice versa. If you decide to say something, it gives her better understanding of oh, she has to be up really early for work. So
Yeah.
the dog barking at 11 is a problem.
And it sounds like she's already been friendly. They've offered her a house plant.
Right. So I would up the neighborly chatting a little bit,
Yeah.
ask her some questions about herself, about the neighborhood, just for the next month or so, just really be neighborly
And deal.
and deal. And
Yeah.
then when an opportunity it presents itself, especially especially at night,
Yeah.
I think at night is a no excuse situation.
Totally. You can say, "Hey, can you let your dog in?"
And maybe one of the other neighbors is annoyed of it and knows her
Yeah.
better and will say something. But take a beat to feel out the neighborhood first, because also maybe you get to know the across the street neighbor and they're like, "Oh, the dog is a problem
Mhm.
and we've all known about it for 5 years, and if you confront her, she's gonna fully key your car." And then okay, well,
Yeah.
this is just
Don't
something we have
mess.
to deal with.
Don't mess.
Don't mess. But
Maybe throw a CBD gummy over the fence and just
yeah,
with some bacon on it.
yeah. Just drug her dog. I think kind of take a moment to feel out the dynamics of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
and get to know the neighbor.
Agreed.
And then I think you have grounds to say something like, hey, I noticed he was, get to know the dog too. So that it's like, you know his name, you like, he likes you, etc. So it's not like I fucking hate your dog. Because if Tina says something to me about Rosie now, I'm like, screw you, you hate my dog. But if she like
Yeah.
was nice to Rosie ever and was like had a problem with Rosie being interested by her geese friends, I'd be
Mhm.
like, oh, sorry, we'll keep her away.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But like now I'm like, Tina doesn't like our dog / any dog, so I don't care.
What's it? A cup of sugar is something than a cup of spice, or what's the saying? Randy, you got it?
I think it's that you can catch more flies
Fly,
with honey
with
than
honey.
vinegar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get.
Which is actually not true, by the way.
Yeah,
If
you're
you're
supposed to
making
use vinegar
You're
to
supposed to
yeah,
use vinegar and dish soap to catch flies.
which is very effective.
Yeah. But catch more with honey. Um, I think that's the most diplomatic way to go about it.
Agreed. Last one, Sal?
Yeah.
Hey, Brett and Sally. What is your best group trip shopping list? Like, what are your go-tos and things you should buy when you come to town for a weekend group trip? Going on my bachelorette next weekend in Charleston and trying to get in, get out, be tactical at the grocery store. Extra info, we get in Friday morning, check into the Airbnb that afternoon, and most of us leave Monday mid-morning with a group of 11.
Okay.
I by the way, before we get into this, is like one of my favorite feelings on vacation is having landed, travel's over, and we're like not at the Airbnb yet, and we're at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Love that feeling because it like money doesn't count at this point because you're
This
still
was me and Lily at Trader Joe's in
oh
Denver before we went to the
yeah
house.
yeah exactly
Okay. This, first of all, takes a little bit of planning and really takes maybe one or two people to take the reins.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's your bachelorette party. You and your bride, like your maid of honor or like your most type A bridesmaid are going to get together and you're going to say, we are going to handle it. And then we're going to send out Venmos. Okay. Because
give me any requests
if
right
you
now.
let everyone start doing shit,
Yeah.
no. Specifically, I'm thinking of an instance. We were in Chicago. One of my girlfriends has her bachelorette in Chicago. Her sister is the maid of honor. Her sister, bless her heart, hadn't really been on a lot of bachelorette parties, wasn't really friends with us, bought like literally one handle of vodka for like 12 of us for like a
Ooh.
whole weekend with no other groceries. And we were like, this ain't gonna fly.
Yeah.
So 3 of us the next morning got up,
Mhm.
went to like a Whole Foods, I think, and just like did
Cleaned out.
everything.
Yeah.
So a little bit of planning. First of all, you need to know like how much time you're going to spend at the house.
Yeah, what dinners are planned, if there's a lunch planned, if there's a breakfast,
Right.
What meals do you not have to account for?
Right. So
and
what
then go out
meals do you
there.
need to cover and how much alcohol do you think you need? So break it
Mhm.
down by then. So if you're like, we are going to have breakfast at the house every day,
Boom.
then you're usually thinking we're going to do like eggs. It's easy to do like, pigs in a blanket, croissant rolls, whatever, something like that. Um,
Fruit.
Fruit, whatever. So plan that. Think about how much you would eat, multiply that by 10 or 11, go for that.
I usually opt for if it's a bachelor like a group trip like that, I opt for maybe little less cleaning up kind of stuff
Yeah.
that's gonna require less doing to create.
Yeah.
Uh
Usually the biggest mess is going to be the like morning breakfast. And
Yeah.
there's always somebody who emerges who like wants to cook eggs, like let them do
there's
it.
always an egg cook, yeah.
Yeah. And then most of the time for bachelorettes, I'm looking at alcohol, mixers, and snacks.
Okay. Because usually you're gonna be at a bar, get like tacos or something, or
Yeah.
whatever it might be.
So like orange juice for mimosas, you
Mhm.
need probably at least 2 bottles of champagne, maybe 3 bottles of champagne for every morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's assuming that's like everyone's gonna have like one mimosa. Get coffee. Don't forget to get coffee. If they have, usually an Airbnb is gonna have a coffee maker or like a Keurig or something like that.
Sure.
So scope that out before you actually go, so that you don't have to go back to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And then way more snacks than you think you need.
Just snack up the place.
Because the thing is, if you don't use them, somebody will take them with them
Yeah.
who either lives nearby or like take it on the plane.
Snacks are the most important.
Late night
thing.
snacks. I'm talking frozen pizzas,
Pizza rolls.
pizza rolls,
Mhm.
Hot Pockets.
Ooh.
jalapeno poppers,
That's
whatever
right,
you want.
That's right.
Yeah. Was a true glutton back in the day in college. And then the only time I say like full request is like, do you have a friend who's like super gluten free that you need to like get some gluten free snacks for, or do you have a friend who like is not a vodka girl and would really rather have tequila? You know what I'm saying?
Yep. You got
You got to take that into account.
Right.
And then the other thing I would say, like I mostly overbuy, but even if you're like, I'm so scared that we're gonna run out of food, do what's a normal amount, and then realize like you're not in a third world country, so you can
go back.
You're in Charleston. You
can
can definitely go to like a
pizza.
7-Eleven,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
It's a lot different when you're doing this in Cabo and you're like getting it at all La Comer, and then you're going to a house and you're like getting back to the freaking grocery store is gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yes.
And then don't forget like little things like sunscreen, Band-Aids, things like that. I know that sounds like
first aid kit,
but like depending on what you're doing, if you're like going to the beach or whatever, like think about stuff like that.
For the win, like
ice.
Sally cuts herself doing an everything shower.
Yeah.
Need the Band-Aid. That's a callback right there.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. I mean, it's my go-tos are like meat cheese crackers.
Uh-huh.
Kind of my favorite snack. And basically
bananas,
fruit,
yogurt, some eggs, and then like 8 different types of chips.
Yeah.
A couple different dips.
Oh yeah. Gotta get salsa. Mateo's salsa, by the way. Delightful. Medium or mild.
A couple frozen pizzas.
There you go.
You're golden.
You're golden. Yeah. Overbuy.
If you can go to a Trader Joe's, for a bachelorette party, I always say go to a Trader Joe's.
Yeah, the best frozen,
like tons of frozen foods, tons of snacks. You're not like trying to like get nice fresh veggies to like make a whatever. Like you're trying to get snacky shit.
Any plans on making meals? In my experience, go out the window unless it's like the first night and you're doing burgers and dogs kind of thing. But if you're like, oh, we're gonna make dinner on Saturday night, no, you're not.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
You're gonna get lazy.
Yeah.
So
just know that you're gonna be hungover and you're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna go to a bar and then come. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Plan on dinner out at that point.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for us today. Any shower thoughts before we bounce?
I don't have any. Do you have any?
I don't. I thought that was a good episode, and I'm
gassed.
Gassed. Yeah.
I'm gonna go take it down.
Very gassed. Please subscribe, rate 5 stars, review, and tell a friend about the show. Hit the hotline number 888-362-MAIL. That is 888-362-6245. Or you can write in at the link in the Twitter bio at Mail-In Podcast. Sally, where can the people find you?
Sally deFries on Instagram and Twitter.
I am Brett Merriman at Schmerriman on both those platforms, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.